Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. This is a special live edition, first ever. Usually I'm half dead when I do these. Another unique thing about this podcast is we're all wearing real pants. That is also something that doesn't happen. So, including the listeners, because we've got a special guest with us tonight. Before we introduce the special guest, let's talk about all our special guests. This is not the normal lineup. This is kind of a roundtable we're doing. We have, first of all, well, I'll let you introduce yourselves. I'm Rob Southgate. You've heard enough from me. We have
Alil from the Lead Beats podcast.
Frank Stella, currently from the Falling Skies podcast.
And what was your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, it was on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast on another network as well.
Boo! No, I'm kidding.
And I'm the super fan, as Nathan calls me, and I'm from the Zero podcast.
Say your name!
Edward.
No, I meant to say your name. I'm kidding. So that's Edward is with us. So, okay, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to basically kind of roundtable about what's going on with news and what's coming up in the next season. So, definitely chime in. And you as listeners, this is your opportunity. If you want to say something, if you have a question, if you want to just interrupt, feel free. We shoot from the hip here. So, okay, let's start out. There was news this week, and I don't have any of my stuff in front of me, so you're going to have to help me out. I know, Alil, you're going to be tied into this. You're going to know who it is. Oh, he's got an internet problem on his phone. We had a casting announcement this week. Mockingbird.
Yes, and I can't remember her name, but she was Adrian, how do you say her last name? Pilecki, yeah. She was in Friday Night Lights. She was going to be in Wonder Woman when they did, NBC had a pilot. And she was in G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Excellent. Yeah, so she's going to be Mockingbird on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, okay. Last season, there was all this speculation about Mockingbird, about, the girl.
From, who was in Captain America?
No, not Hallie Atwell.
No, not Hallie Atwell. She was the blonde in, I can't remember her name, in Captain America Winter Soldier. She was the one who stood up to Hydra in the room. Agent 13, thank you. That they were going to use her as a go-to for Mockingbird because she was also a TV actress as well. I guess this is a surprise, I think.
Well, I actually thought it was Robert Redford because he was the blonde in Captain America.
That is true. That is true. He was blonde, but I don't think he's got the moves anymore like he used to. He doesn't move like Jagger, no, not at all.
Wow, what a throw him under the bus. Actually, no, what I heard from Mockingbird was Chloe Bennett, which, what's her name? Sky, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that she was potentially going to be Mockingbird. So, for those of you that don't know, Mockingbird is a cool character, and this is another case with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they're moving into bringing in superheroes. So that's been a big thing about the show, is they keep talking about how it's, in the beginning it was kind of James Bondy, it didn't really have the superhero stuff going on. I think that on your podcast, Frank, you guys were kind of critical of that, am I right?
Felt like it started kind of slow, actually. It didn't really seem... It didn't seem well developed at first, I thought. Not in the way that you'd expect, like a Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Avengers type of genre to start out. But I think it picked up once we got into that one episode where they had that mind control thing behind the eye. That's where it really picked up for me. But yeah, it's getting definitely more interesting with a lot of kind of like outer spacey and alien type of stuff going on for the show.
Well, yeah, and then one of the big criticisms was the superhero stuff, saying that they weren't there, and then all of a sudden they had Sif on, which anyone that listens to the show knows I kind of like Sif, and I kind of like having Sif on the show, but there was all that about not having superheroes, and then I heard that, or the big rumor was that Chloe Bennett was going to be Mockingbird, which is weird that Chloe Bennett, how loud can I be it live, huh? It's weird that they were talking about Mockingbird and talking about her, and who's the character to bring in but Mockingbird? So that rumor, there was some validity to it. I wonder if at some point they were thinking about her being that character. Excellent. Thank you, Edward. So, we also had others. I mean, are you guys down with Adrian Palicki being Mockingbird?
I know nothing about Mockingbird legend. I'm not like a comic book person. If I haven't seen it on the show yet, I don't know what we're talking about.
Excellent. There's this green guy, his name is Hulk. I know he hasn't been on the show yet, but do you know who Mockingbird is?
No.
All right. Anyone who doesn't know who Mockingbird is going to have to sing the song. I'm just laying that out there. We'll do that at the end. Alil, you know who Mockingbird is, right?
I do. She's a SHIELD agent. I can't remember if she's got superpowers or not, but she's highly trained, highly skilled. She teams up with, does not have superpowers. She teams up with Hawkeye a lot. If you guys, I don't know if anybody here watches any of the Disney XD cartoons. They actually had in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes. She was actually a character in it for a few episodes with Hawkeye and SHIELD. She is a SHIELD agent, but she's kind of a highly specialized SHIELD agent like Black Widow and Hawkeye. So
she's almost like Avengers Rebel B. Like she's kind of there, but she's not like, you're not going to see her flying around with Thor and Cap.
Right. I'd say maybe C.
C grade.
Yeah.
She totally was in the Avengers.
Hey, we don't do this live for a reason. Okay.
Because you don't get me wrong.
I get so much wrong that it would be an endless podcast of people correcting me. So she was in Avengers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Way back when.
Who was she in Avengers? I don't remember seeing
Not the movie.
No.
Well, then I'm lost then.
Once again, if Frank didn't see it in the movie, it didn't happen. So here's the other thing with Mockingbird, though, and this is why it's kind of exciting. With Mockingbird, because she did a lot with Hawkeye, this is the potential for Hawkeye showing up on the show at some point. You have a lot more potential for that kind of crossover, because that's been a big thing. Where's Iron Man? Where's Hulk? Where's Thor? Guess what? You can't afford them for one of these. I would rather pay them to be in a movie. But Hawkeye, even though he's Jeremy Renner and he gets paid the big bucks, nobody's going to see Hawkeye 2 yet. So I know I love Hawkeye 2, I want to see him, but it hasn't happened yet. But here's how you introduce him. You bring him on, and you have him, even a cameo. Do a Mockingbird story, have a cameo with him, and now there's an interest in Hawkeye, because in the movie he wasn't represented. Am I right?
No, you're correct on that. And Joss Whedon said that Avengers 2 Age of Ultron will rectify Hawkeye. But I think it's going to be difficult getting, even though, as we said, Jeremy Renner, I don't think he's going to come and do a TV show. I don't think he's going to do it. I know the game has changed with a lot of big time Hollywood actors going on TV. But I think he is young enough where he still thinks that he is movie star caliber, that he won't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Compared to Samuel Jackson, I think he's I think he can do some TV. Because Sam Jackson has shown up, and let's face it, it was Sam Jackson on the show. Now, okay, Edward, you've been you. What did you think of when Nick Fury showed up?
I thought it was nice, and they didn't make the show all about him. They had him as a separate character all by himself, not the main character of the story in that show.
I totally agree. I think that they used him really well. Now, Frank, I didn't listen to your show, so I listened to it a little bit. He says I listened to it a little bit, but I didn't listen at the end. What did you guys think of that ending? What did you think of when Sam Jackson showed up? Because frankly, I paused the TiVo, went back, paused it right on Sam Jackson, took pictures of it, tweeted it out. Actually, Edward was my assistant that night, sitting there as we were doing live tweeting, and he had to sit through me, taking pictures of the screen and Tumblr and everything, it's Nick Fury! What did you guys think?
I mean, I saw it coming. It wasn't a big surprise to me when he showed up. Now,
But when his hand, when he reached down from that helicopter, come on, you saw that coming right then?
I didn't see it coming in that moment. Wasn't about to take pictures though either.
Well, you're not a creep.
Well, the moment was a surprise, and it was a pleasant, compelling moment. But we all knew Nick Fury was coming back at least for the finale. I mean, that was obvious.
Well, yeah, that had been rumored a lot, and we kind of knew that was going to happen. But I thought that, like Edward said, the way that played out was really well done.
It was a good payoff. It was a good payoff the way that he showed up right when he did and where he did, with his hand out, for a Fitz and Simmons there. It was a big moment.
Yeah. Okay. Is Fitz going to live? What's going on with Fitz? Well, he's got to live, right? The guy's signed for this season, but is he going to be like brain damaged? Is he going to turn into MODOK or something and be like in a little wheelchair with a giant head?
I didn't think of that, but that actually would be kind of cool. I don't want to see MODOK in this universe. I mean, I think MODOK can be a good character if they do it right like they did Zola in the Winter Soldier movie, but I think MODOK in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would be terrible.
No, MODOK in Spider-Man 68 is what I want to see.
Of course. We all want to see Spider-Man 68. That's the new show. Everyone pump it, tweet it. Spider-Man 68, we'll get it going.
That was actually a show. If you don't listen to our show, it was spawned on our show. If you watch Batman 66, which is a huge favorite of ours, everyone's looking strange. What is that? You know the old Batman TV show?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of...
With Adam West?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I've seen it.
Yes. So we want to have it be Spider-Man with the ill-fitting costumes and the, campiness. And think about MODOK with his big head and that little chair showing up. How awesome would that be? Spider-Man 68. I'm all about it.
I thought you meant the Amazing Spider-Man 68.
No, that was the TV show?
I thought you meant the 68 movie.
Oh, you know what? I don't think Amazing Spider-Man's getting to 68.
I hope not. I hope not.
I don't know if it's getting to 3, to tell you the truth.
A lot of people like it. And
I like it.
I don't think they stacked up to the Tobey Maguire movies. Well, the first two, at least.
Right, I agree with that. The first two Tobey Maguire ones were excellent. The third one was a hot piece of garbage. The Amazing Spider-Man, I actually like. You like it,
I like everything Spider-Man, so I'm biased. Spider-Man's my character, my hero.
You're wearing Spider-Man underoos right now, right?
Every day of my life. Spider-Man underoos, Spider-Man socks, whatever I can fit in Spider-Man. I'm a big guy, so I gotta go big and tall Spider-Man store. And I'm wearing Spider-Man. No costume though, because Lycra spandex will not look good on his body.
That's what you think. It's going to look great in Spider-Man 68. It's slimming.
I'll wear the black suit because that is slimming. The black.
The black is very slimming. Yes. So I don't even know where we were. Are we talking about Star Wars now? Because I just all of a sudden started thinking about Star Wars. Do you guys, on Star Wars, I want to talk about that for a second. So, the good practical effects, we were talking about this earlier, and this has been crossing my mind the whole time. Are you, Edward, you're the guy I want to direct this at, because I know where Frank is going to stand. He's going to say, I haven't seen Star Wars, I don't know what it is unless it's been in Avengers. Edward.
It will be, it could be now.
Oh,
eventually, there will be crossover. Guardians of the Galaxy will be Star Wars.
No. Well, and if Disney buys Warner, the crossover there too they talked about. That would be DC and Marvel. Can you imagine?
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to imagine. That'd be terrible. Although Wolverine and Batman in one movie, yep. A lot of heads just nodded in here. And a lot of heads went, what the heck?
Patton Oswalt is on Agents of Marvel now, and he did that crossover thing for
What's Agents of Marvel?
Anyway, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Patton Oswalt is on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation, he did this
Yeah, he did that Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
He's talking about
That's impossible!
If you didn't hear Brandon, on Parks and Recreation, Patton Oswalt did a filibuster where he talked about his dream of Star Wars and how, because Disney owns it, like, Chewbacca is going to be robotic, just a head on a spider robot, and like he's going to have all this, like, Captain America shows up and fights Luke, and just like all this crazy stuff. And now that could be a reality, and I hope it isn't. I truly hope it isn't.
Batman's gonna have a lightsaber in his utility belt.
You know what? You just lost me because now that's all I'm thinking about.
No way, man. Iron Man's gonna have lightsabers.
Oh, awesome!
Batman and his damn lightsabers. Iron Man.
Iron Man with a lightsaber. Now, I was going to ask Edward about Star Wars. Do you care? Because they're making a big deal that the effects in the new movie are going to be practical effects as opposed to all this digital stuff. You're from the generation where you would have seen all that digital stuff. I'm from the generation where it was all practical. You say tomato. I say tomato. That's a bad joke. Okay, so do you care about that? Is that something that's a factor in this? Because to me, it's a huge factor. Like, I'm so jacked for this.
I would say if they make it digital, more younger people can see it and like it and watch it over again. But if you make it more practical, the older generation who was watching Star Wars when they were young will come and watch it because it's similar to what they have watched.
So which do you think is better?
Digital. Just because
Digital, I took the mic away. You know, I think a mix of it is probably a good idea. I think J.J. Abrams, I think if he tones down his flares, his lens flares, I think that the mix of it is fine, but I'm really jacked by doing some practical. Did you guys see that image of that beast thing they had? Totally looked digital, didn't it? Then it turns out it's a real, like, puppet out in the desert. Puppets in the desert. Love it. So you're a big Star Wars guy, right?
I am.
So what do you think?
It's practical all the way. I mean, practical effects in movies. And I've actually said this on our show when I interviewed somebody. We were talking about movies in general and how they're made today versus how they're made. You need CG today to be able to bring a lot of things to life that we couldn't do. You know, the way the Hulk is in Avengers, that CG is needed.
I don't think we're going to look absolutely spot on as the Hulk. On that haircut.
I met Lou last night. Lou is a very nice man, but Lou is not 10 feet tall and 700 pounds and all pure muscle anymore. So
Neither are you.
I never said I was. But we need that. I mean, we've seen it in these Marvel movies. Even look at Guardians of the Galaxy, which a lot of that was CG. But the thing is, there are practical still that they use. A lot of that they use. They use still build sets. And I think you can tell the difference in tone of the movie, that these actors are actually acting and creating a world, rather than if you look at the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, where everybody was just in front of a green screen, right, and there was a chair there that was green, and then they made it into a throne. But it just seemed seemed off-putting and seemed too fake. It was too cartoony. And I understand that technology has gotten better because we're able to get these movies, but the practical effects of having those people live in that world and act in that world will never go away. I think the acting is increased by the world that's built around them than the fake world that they have to pretend that they're around.
No, it's interesting that we're talking about this because last night, Frank and I got to interview Doug Jones. Doug Jones, for those of you that don't know, first of all, I was geeking badly over Doug Jones. He is one of my top guys. He was Abe Sapien in Hellboy. He was the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four, which, I don't care what you think about Fantastic Four, he was the Silver Surfer! Yes! He's awesome. And he's co-chief on Falling Skies, so we got to interview him, and he was talking about the makeup and the practical effects a little bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say, my opinion, practical versus CGI. My opinion is, if you're doing them right, it shouldn't matter. Because I'm enjoying a movie for the story and for the development of it. And if the effects aren't distracting, your CGI isn't shoddy or your practicals aren't just under par, then I don't care. I don't critique a movie based on if the effects are there. It shouldn't be a focal point for me. It's cool when you can do them practical, like when we all watched Dark Knight and that parking garage.
Oh, yes!
Very cool. But to me, if that was all CGI, it wouldn't have ruined the story for me.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Because if you look at The Last Starfighter, I mean, this is really dated and old, but at the time those were like killer effects, but you watch it now and it's like, wow, my Atari looked better than that. But the Last Starfighter had an awesome story, so who cares? I still watch it and I'm like, yeah, Last Starfighter! I'm the only one, right? I love Last Starfighter. It's like, what are you talking about?
I never know what he's saying.
And Frank's going, was it in Avengers? It wasn't.
I never know what you're talking about.
No, I know you don't. Anyway, Doug Jones last night was talking about the makeup and like the practical effects. It's not to pimp the show, but it's really worth listening to this interview, especially for this, because he talks about he is an alien on this show. He's in this full makeup, and he talked about how the top part of him, they pretty much do this computer graphic stuff to make the eyes blink, and he goes, it's weird. They're just staring gold eyes when I'm acting. But the bottom part is attached, and he said it doesn't pick up every little movement, but it picks up a lot of it, so they just kind of tweak it. When I watched that show, do you look at it? I've always wondered. I knew they had to be doing, computer effects, but it really looks practical, doesn't it?
I think the effects are good enough because to me they're not a distraction. I don't look at them and go, that looks fake, or that looks over the top, or it looks too much like they did too much in the studio. I think it's just the right balance to where I can enjoy the show without being distracted by effects.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, do you watch Fallen Skies a little?
I do not. I was actually talking about it earlier with a few people out here. There's not enough time in the day to watch all these great TV shows.
There is for Rob.
If you go to the Blue Box Cafe, you actually can bend time. See, it's a Doctor Who show. That's how we fit it in.
And that's what I was talking with about that, because I got to catch up on Doctor Who. I haven't watched it since the 80s.
What's wrong with you? Who invited you?
We have jobs, right? We have jobs.
I argue that I have a job.
I'm actually working right now responding to email from work and podcasting. Multitasking is
If I was working a job like that, I'd be doing the same thing and have Dr. Who on my phone. So I'll take that.
So are we still talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. or are we have we moved on?
Yeah, let's talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit. Does anyone have a topic about S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, say this was just reported on CP Entertainment just today, a few hours ago. It's been reported that recently a new promotion billboard showed up in LA, which depicts the type of alien equation that was scrawled out by Coulson in the season 1 finale, and that suggests that maybe the alien blood that saved Coulson's life could be responsible for his visions. And we're talking about some of the side effects from that, from the drug that he took, and that could have been things like that. Season 2.
Well, it wasn't a drug that he took, because he was injected with, we're assuming it's Kree blood, right?
Yeah, it's Kree.
If that's what it was that the same thing that they injected into Sky?
Yes.
Were they calling it a drug? Because that's maybe what I'm being
Well, it had a number, like IG-88, Star Wars shout out. But it had some kind of number on it, but it was Kree blood, some derivative of Kree excrement.
And that's out for you.
So yeah, I don't know if any of you watched S.H.I.E.L.D., but at the very end, the very last thing we saw was Agent Coulson, who has been brought back to life, and they put this Kree, which is alien blood, into him. He gets up after the whole big finale. They show him. It's just like the movies. They always have that like after moment, and he's standing at this blackboard. Billboard is what you said. He's standing at the blackboard, and he's writing this weird equation thing.
I think he was actually engraving into the wall. I think it was like a glass thing that he was actually engraving in the glass wall.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I did not know.
Yeah, because that is creepy. Because he was like having these videos and actually engraving it in.
Well, we've seen Agent Garrett doing that earlier.
Remember, he wrote the equation, because I know Garrett wrote this equation too.
Right.
On the bus.
Oh, yeah, the door. Yeah.
And we've seen that. We saw that really early on in the season. Remember when Ward walked into that one room when he was
And he disciplined the beaver? Yeah, I remember that.
He was infiltrating that.
Don't laugh on the beaver
That
joke.
one episode, and there
Leave
was,
it to Beaver. Come on.
he walked into that room, and there were those two guys or whoever they were that were looks like they were writing up that alien business, and we were like, "What is that?" And that didn't show up until way later again in the season.
Yeah, well, so this billboard is actually, that is what he was writing. And see, I thought that what we were seeing when he was doing that was going to show up as like a star map in Guardians of the Galaxy. Because everything they've been doing is tied back into the show. Did you see any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tied in Guardians of the Galaxy? I sure didn't.
There was talk about the Infinity Stones.
Right. I'm talking about specifically, yeah, there was the Infinity Stone, and there was the stuff that was tied to the movie some, but not to the show. I still say that what we were seeing is going to turn out to be a map, which is going to lead the Avengers and Guardians together.
God, I sure hope not. And this is where I'm going to get booed out of the room because I think I'm the only person in existence that thought that movie was just bad. I think I'm going to get myself fired, but I just thought the whole movie was just a big joke and poorly developed.
Rebuttal?
I kind of agree with you. Some of it was bad, but it depends on what you're watching it for. If you're watching it for a good,
Talking
entertaining movie,
Are you watching it for a raccoon?
or if you're watching
Oh my God!
If you're watching it as in you're going to see it in the middle of the day, that's not going to happen. Oh, look, there's a walking tree. I want to see that when I'm walking in LA sometime.
I want to see it with a walking tree so bad. Yeah, okay, so we got a table divided here, because there are two guys on this side that when you said talking raccoon and a walking tree, we just both passed out. We love Groot. Oh, it's the greatest. So yeah, but I understand, actually I was listening to another podcast that was reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy, now playing. And they kind of had the same reactions.
Yeah.
Some of the guys didn't like the talking raccoon, didn't like Groot, which, how heartless are you to not like Groot? I mean, come on. That's like watching the end of ET and not crying. Nobody can do that, right? Nobody can watch Last Starfighter, let's get back to that for a second, and not think that it's a rockin' good movie and should be remade.
Yes.
Or, no. A sequel should be made with the same graphics.
As long as they don't try to Tron legacy their characters' faces to be younger.
Actually, didn't mind that.
I couldn't stand that in the beginning, especially in the beginning of Tron legacy. I didn't mind it when they were in the digital world; it was okay. But in the beginning scene where they had that flashback, they should just hired a lookalike.
Yeah, but you know what? Jeff Bridges, Paul Roman didn't have that done, and he's Jeff Bridges. So
He's the Iron
he's
Monger.
the dude.
And the dude.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Jeff Bridges, he's the dude, he's the Ironmonger, he is Rooster Cogburn, isn't that his name? Come on, Dad, nice shout out to you. Yeah, Rooster Cogburn, which was just incredible. I mean, yeah, if he wants to look like a young man and have it digitally affected, now we're talking digital effects, please, practical effects. I'm all for the digital effects. You stop spewing hate.
I'm sorry. I am just a hater. I drink haterade. That's who I am.
I'm going to have to move on down the bench because I got Mr. Hating Guardians of the Galaxy here. So, you don't want to see them partner up with the Avengers.
Keep that separate.
It's not gonna be.
Keep that away from stuff that I like.
How about you, Edward?
I don't mind as long as they make it entertaining and fun to watch and they actually make it nice and not too confusing. I'm fine with it.
Okay. Because when it's too confusing, you have to explain it to your mother. And we have to watch it over and over, correct?
I have to explain it anyways.
And then you've got a little eye who say, I don't care what they do, put Groot and the Raccoon with Thor and Captain America. Yes!
No.
Done deal. I think we need t-shirts. I already pre-ordered the Blu-ray.
Done.
I'm writing fanfic about Groot and Raccoon hanging out with Black Widow. I'm all about it.
Groot on Once Upon a Time.
Oh. what do you think about Groot making an appearance on Once Upon a Time? It is a Disney-owned property. It could happen.
And let's do it. Why not? Everyone loves Groot except for you guys.
Everyone loves Groot except the haters.
I'll take the Frozen characters on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We can take those. Those guys can be Guardians of the Galaxy.
I do too. I love Elsa and Anna.
Did you ever see a Frozen character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when Blizzard turned everything to ice?
Maybe.
Just let it go, Frank.
I'm going to let it go. I'm letting it go. The past is in the past.
Well, you know, we're getting very close to the end of this episode. Do you guys have anything else you want to say? I mean, we're going into the next season. I'm excited. Is there anything you guys want to say? Any hopes for the next season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Fitz. I'm expecting his return. I'm expecting to see more alien stuff. Falling Skies guy here, but they will have a Falling Skies crossover. There's some stickers on Agents.
If we can get Doug Jones on there, I'd call that enough of a crossover.
Yeah, I'll take Doug Jones any day, and I just want to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 starts on September 23rd on ABC. That's a Tuesday, so it looks like we're going to be on Tuesday nights once again.
Excellent. Everyone, what do you think for next season?
I'm hoping that they actually complete the storyline that they left us at the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They complete it and they start another one that's separate from Sky. Something separate from Sky.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to focus on Sky because now we've got who her dad is. It's going to be leading towards the Inhumans.
Yeah.
So I think your wish for that is gone.
Well, I don't want to focus on one character, but at the cliffhanger, that's what it's looking to be. It's going to be more focused on Sky, because it's her dad, the GH64, I think.
Yeah.
This year.
Oh, wait for
325.
IG88. So
we're gonna see Sky as a big player in the next season for sure. And I don't think, like I'd say, that's not the only thing we're gonna be seeing. I don't know. Well, here's a question: are we gonna see any more of War?
yes. What do you think about that? I actually think Ward is not done. I think we're going to see more Ward. I don't want them to bring him back as a good guy, though. I want him to be a recurring bad guy that's a problem for them. But I don't think we're going to see him every episode. What do you think, Alil?
I agree with that. Ward is not done. He will be back. He will somehow get out of prison. They will figure out a way to tie him into the Sky story because how close their story is intertwined in the first season. I do think it's going to lead into the Inhumans. I do think that everything Coulson's doing is going to start leading into a won't be Skrull, because you can't use that term in this universe, a pre-Chitauri war that's going to bring in Thanos and everybody else, and this is going to start tying in more to not Avengers Age of Ultron, but Avengers 3, if that's where they're going with Thanos and everybody else, Guardians 2 and all that. Because I think they have the use of being able to use the cosmic Marvel universe, and they already started it with bringing in the Kree and the Kree blood and all the symbols. I think that's where they're going. This is going to be more Marvel cosmic because that's where the comics are going. This is where this series is going to go.
I'm with you. I think that we're going to play it off stage. I think this next season is going to be awesome. I'm just really looking forward to it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for tolerating us here live, everybody. Please come see us if you're going to Comic-Con today. We are hosting a panel, room 1 at 7:30 on journalism and podcasting. So that's going to be interesting. So if you're over there, definitely come see us. And Sunday night, we're back. We're going to have a lot more people here. Please come back then. We're going to have the Shake-Ups in Ponyville, which is a My Little Pony tribute band that is awesome. And we're going to have Time Crash, which is a Doctor Who tribute band. Yeah, and it's going to be excellent. And they're both really good bands. They have a big following. And the Shake-Ups actually were the premier band at Gen Con last weekend. And this weekend they're playing a private party for us. So, big deal here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope to have everybody back. Thank you, everybody. That's it for this episode. Nuff Said.
Nuff Said.
Nuff Said.
Nuff Said.
you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.